Okay, I should be on now. At least the audio should be on. I'll switch to desktop here. The webcam. I'll turn my webcam on here in a sec. Let's see how I sound. I sound all right. Good. And let's go ahead and yeah, go ahead and just do desktop. I was thinking about whether or not to just do my webcam full screen, but you don't really need to see my face up close. I almost don't need to see it at all, but figure I don't know, figure people it's more personable to people if they can actually see a face behind the voice and kind of know what they're looking at kind of thing, you know. I figure it's a better way to connect with people like watching, I think. Anywho, alrighty. That was the dialogue there, and so now John's further questions. Let's see something here. He explains wants to find out why. Okay. I'm not even sure what I want to do today. I know I'm a little bit late, like usual. That's always the case. Um, I'm still looking at different ways of handling development. Like maybe these live streams every day isn't that good a deal, really. Because really, uh, I made it. I made a commitment, I guess you might say. I guess to myself uh, that whenever I was going to do any actual work on the game, I'd always stream it. I'd always show it, you know, because this was part of my thing from the beginning was to show you everything, including some of the boring parts or the not fun parts, um, whatever. But I'm realizing first, not that many people come in here and watch, and I'm at Devstream 150. I've done more streams than that. You know, I was doing the editing streams and stuff, but 150 main dev development streams, and it doesn't get more than about 5 people total. Even when it's doing good, it's just 5. And I know I post to several discords. I post to a few X communities. Um, I guess Reddit I kind of forgot about because I haven't been posting there very frequently. It's just the Redot subreddit, and if more than likely the Redot community actually has either seen this on X or has seen this on in Discord. So seeing it on Reddit probably isn't doing much good. And I was looking at the other indie game subreddits, and I've noticed that almost all of them don't have a place to promote your stuff. And you're not supposed to. You're supposed to go on those and not supposed to self promote anything, and which is kind of counterintuitive to me, um, considering what it is and what they are. You know, indie games. One of them, it might have been indie games. I'm not sure, but one of them didn't actually say anything. And then when I posted it, a thing asking if it was okay if I started posting it, links to the streams every day. Nobody responded. So in that one, I think I just kind of forgot about because I was thinking at least somebody should have replied back to say if it was okay or not. but most of them have really strict guidelines about no self promotion, which is just like I said, it sounds very counterintuitive. I get it if you have discussions, if you if you don't want your thing cluttered up with self promotions for game related stuff. I get that, but there are ways around it. For one thing, being the fact that you can start threads on those subreddits that are only for self promotion. You could do a screenshot Saturday kind of thing. You could, well, actually, I think one of them, one of the game development subreddits, what they had to do, you could do it. You could post your game. It only had to be a certain way, but like it'd have to be a certain percent finished. You'd have to have a screenshot, and there's like all these requirements, other than just saying, "Hey, I'm streaming. I'm like, working on my game." Because I don't have much here to look at least for right now, right? Which could be why I'm not very successful in the streaming part, right? I don't think my personality is it. Not that my personality is great. It's not horrible either. So it's not like it's not a deal breaker. In other words, it's not a significant factor in my live stream. I don't think. If anything, people probably like hear me talk about the story and stuff. Or at least the story part. Maybe not myself. Maybe my voice is annoying or something, and really people don't like my voice or something. I mean, I don't care that much in the sense of if you don't like it, you don't like it. You're not gonna please everybody, and I was born with this voice in this face, and sure, I could lose weight, and I don't know, there's some stuff I could do, but it's not gonna fundamentally change anything. So I don't actually worry about that. I don't worry about somebody not liking my face or something. But so yeah, it's I mean I did 150. It's kind of discouraging. When I was doing this in 2019 and back, it didn't start in 2019. It started, I don't know, a couple years before or something, months. I don't remember how long total I went. I ended in 2019, but a lot of the YouTube coaches, whatever, the YouTube the ones that tell you how to do YouTube properly or whatever, or to gain more followers or subscribers or viewers or whatever. Um, a lot of them were saying quantity, just push out a bunch of them first, and then eventually it'll get a momentum, and it'll be great because they'll still be on there years later. Mine are still on years later. I have 600 videos, and hardly any of them get above double digits. Seriously. Now, understandably, it's not because of algorithm or whatever. It's because my videos were boring. They weren't interesting enough to hold anyone's attention. I totally get that, and that's why they failed. So, just shoving a bunch of quantity of stuff to get your momentum doesn't really work. Not the way that they act like it would should work. So, I suspect the really high quality ones do well, and really YouTube videos and or live streams are even worse because um, a lot of people don't like to sit for long stretches unless you're like so entertaining. That's why the game player um, stream live streamers do well because people like watching them play games. There's stuff going on in the game, and they like their goofy, crazy reactions, whatever. And I'm just making a game. And even if I talk to you, even if I have a decent personality, it's not going to be as popular as somebody doing a streaming their favorite game and having a good time and whatever. So um, I'm kind of going here. I'm kind of going. Okay, so now I hit that 100 mark. You know, uh, what was it? 2 months ago, I guess technically. What do we have? We have 5 days a week. We have 20 days. Um, so approximately 2 months. I hit 100. Now I'm at 150. This is the 150th. Yeah. So what? I haven't got any more viewers. In fact, I got a couple less viewers today. I only got 2 now. It fluctuates between 1 and 2, and sometimes 3. And occasionally, I get a good one. I'll get, and probably because I'm not doing anything right now. But again, even when I'm working solidly, and you've seen the past days when I was working, yesterday was something I couldn't avoid, so I didn't stream yesterday, obviously. But I do get some a little extra engagement if I do a pre-advertising a couple of hours before, and I might start doing that regularly. I'll like wake up early in the morning. I'll probably turn on my computer and I'll probably go in there and say, such and such in 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is. And then I might do one, 15 minutes out or something. Uh, but yeah, this live streaming thing is, I'm been about 6 months. Technically longer than that. Technically almost 8 months. Like say the last week in November. Okay, all of December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. It's now July. Right. December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Wait. June is 6, right? July is 7th. December will be 8. And then I can almost say 9 months because last week in November and we're no, I can almost say 8 months, right? If you include that one week in to July, you could say approximately 8 months worth of live streams here, and 40. I'm up to like 30 something. I'm up to posting like 30 something. Um, well, I'm right around 30, I think, or whatever. My last update. So I put in the time and stuff, and that doesn't work. I mean, you got to have the quality, right? Okay, so and there's this kind of crapshoot kind of thing, right? So, um, so the big streaming stuff goes to Twitch because they have the most live streams over there. Of course, they don't. I guess they don't save theirs, and so you don't get recorded. So once it's done, it's done. But here, of course, it stays on the server. But YouTube isn't really the big like streaming deal. It's their long form videos, shorts, whatever. And I don't know. I'm just kind of discouraged a little bit. Not really discouraged on my game. I continue on my game. I could continue it if I never streamed again. Um, but I don't know. I don't have any ideas either of how to increase people wanting to come and see the streams, much less stay for them. You know, maybe if I had this high amount of initial uh, entry, you know, at least in the double digits live viewers, then maybe I could work on optimizing that. Work on what to do to keep them. But if I can't get any people watching in the first place, what's the point, right? Okay, so then there's this thing, right? So I could stop. Essentially, I could stop doing the live streams altogether. Okay, which then I'd be relying solely on my updates. Which, to me, my updates aren't that good. I mean, I edit them okay. They're okay. They show some progress. Um, but they're not all that compelling. Um, just right now, they might be getting a little bit better lately. But so then I have to figure out what would really draw people in, and a lot of the stuff that draws people into watching videos is it's informative or it's instructive or it's I don't know how to say it. Basically, it's useful to you, the viewer, in some way. Now, sometimes if you're good at entertaining jokes, make a funny cartoon, whatever, people are gonna watch it, and you'll get viewers that way. So you got to be entertaining, or you got to be informative, and you can only stick to certain topics. You know, you can do the how-tos and stuff. Um, you can people like the building stuff. Um, and this is essentially like a project building thing, right? Because this is a single project and it's a game. And if I made the videos correctly, I would need necessarily to do the streaming, right? So, okay, so I have this deal that first I do have to make them interesting, and then I do have to have time to edit them, and I do have to actually make some progress. I have to make sure I make some progress. You know, people will watch the time lapse. Like I'll watch people building stuff that's really cool, and I'm sure you'd watch somebody build a game if it was all in one video. If everything that I did thus far was in one video, and I was able to manage to get the major important parts in it, and you saw it progressing and stuff, that would probably be a popular video. I would think. But I have to do that. I have to have time to do that, and so you're kind of going, well, um, if I'm spending all of my time making these fancy videos, B-roll, and all this goofy stuff, then I don't have as much time for my game if I don't do my game. The game is prime importance. I want people to watch the channel. The reason I'm doing this is for them to watch the channel, but the game still has to come first. The game is still what I'm doing. I'm still making the game. I'm not making a YouTube channel for the sake of a YouTube channel. I'm making a YouTube channel to document the process of making my game, to also help me motivate me to make my game, maybe even help other people want to support me in some way, whether liking the videos or giving me comments or supporting me financially enough where I go, hey, this is really cool. I got to keep doing it, you know? And of course, I'm not getting nothing. I get hardly anybody chatting except for the rookie. Or I always call him Rook because it's he's the name the rookie in IRC, and it's like how are you the rookie, and what's going on the rookie, and it just I know it sounds weird to me, so I'm always shortening it to Rook, and when he got on YouTube, he's actually using Rook as his name on YouTube. So and he's the only one that actually tends to chat in here. I get a couple of guys that were from India. They were coming in. They thought it was really cool, but obviously, India is about 8.5 hours from my time zone. In fact, they're not on the hour; they're on the half hour. In fact, if you go to, I think it was, I think it was was it Pakistan? What was it? It wasn't Pakistan. It was, what was it? Anyways, it's a small country bordering Tibet or something. I don't know. I'm sorry about my knowledge of geography, but uh, some some uh, small country that shares a border with India. They actually are on the 45 minute, not even on the half hour. So whenever it's 12 o'clock here, over there it's like 8:45. In India it's 8:30. Whereas in other places it might be on the hour, like 8 o'clock. Like in the UK is 5 hours out. So when it's 12 here, it's 5 p.m. over there, right? And anyways, um, I only get one guy that actually engages. Occasionally get these couple of guys from India, and like I said, they're busy work, school, sleeping, whatever, just because the time zones are out of whack. Which is, I mean, that happens, but in so saying, I don't hardly get anybody watching this. You know, even when I spend the whole day and it's a really good stream, uh, I don't get very many viewers. And it's like, why am I doing this? Well, on the one hand, it's like that. But on the other hand, it's like, um, what am I doing that really that's much different? If I didn't do this on stream and I just booted stuff up and started working, I would just be working on stuff. At least with the streaming, the streaming I do have to set it up though, right? I mean, it takes me 30 minutes to go and to post to X and Discord and stuff. So there's a time thing. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have the time thing. I'd be able to pick up and put down my game at any time I wanted to. If I did that, if I completely got rid of the live streams, then I would just saying. Anyways, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying now. My brain is just. But that's just to say that um, the live streaming just I don't know. Like I said, if I wasn't live streaming, then I'd have more time just to work on my game whenever I wanted to at any time I wanted to, right? But you also have the thing of if you want anybody to see it. I mean, the game itself. If I work on the game, eventually I produce the game, I release the game, people play the game. That's exposure. But this is going to take like a long time, anyways. It's going to take years probably to finish. Um, I mean, there might be a time when we get some momentum. For instance, let's say I get this pass done. I get all these pages done, and let's say I get it done the fastest. I get 4 pages done a day, and it takes me a month, maybe a month and a half, and I got all of these done. Okay, now the next thing would be to run through a narrative pass where it's actually readable, where you're reading it like a story. You're reading each of the pages like a story, and um, what was I gonna say? So it's possible that in a month or 2 months, in between 1 and 2 months, I could get the bulk majority of this done, and then um, why was I even saying that? See, my brain sometimes works. It sometimes doesn't work. Um, so what was I saying? Anyways, if I get done, if I stop doing the live streams and I just work on my game, then oh, okay. So if I push past this, I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say there's a possibility when I get done with this phase that each of the subsequent phases will actually be like way quicker to implement because this means that the majority of the game is already done. The majority of the story, the majority of the stuff that goes on is it would be done, right? And then the rest would be like technical details. It would be like, I do that, then I go through the narrative pass. That also can take a long time, but it might be quicker because I don't have to make up anything exactly. I might have to make up a few things because I purposely leave these pages kind of vague, just um, here it explains blah blah blah. Okay, and so here let's do this one. Once the other combines the lapsewood, Hebert stops to give instructions. Hebert sends Jonathan to night school. Okay, that was actually the original deal here. I'll probably delete that, but anyways, they're pretty bare bones. And then when I get to the narrative version, it's going to take a little bit longer in a sense, but in another sense, it's not going to because I'm not going to be sitting staring and like wondering what I'm supposed to be making up now. I won't be doing that. I'll just be coming up with the words. I'll be writing it out as a story, making sure I have all the relevant information on the page, and hopefully it won't take as long as this initial time. And then when I pass that, hopefully that means that subsequent phases will be like like way shorter. So that's a possibility. But this is the long haul. It's going to take a while. Anyways, okay. So the reason I called it freestyling is because I'm partly talking here. I don't really have a plan today. I was thinking, I was going to go ahead and am I going to get another page done or another set of pages done? And I'm kind of going, maybe, but I'm not going to decide on that just now. Hello, just joined my first stream. Helping Hand 23. Well, welcome to the stream, Helping Hand 23. Is this your first stream of my streams or first stream watching anybody live stream? You can let me know that. But welcoming another person to the stream, which is always welcome, obviously. And is this your first time, like, first stream of mine? Is this the first stream you've watched, or is this the first stream you're actually just chatting in? Like, did you lurk before or for a while, or you just saw this on? Where'd you see it? Do you see it on YouTube and it went, this might be interesting? Um, also there's this weird. Okay, first stream I've watched. Okay, alrighty. Um, that's cool. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm making a game here. It's called Enchanted Lands, and it's going to be a fully interactive point and click adventure game, right? Like the kind you played in the early '90s, and now it's kind of making a resurgent. Monkey Islands, King's Quest, those kinds of games. If you've ever played those kind, um, like what's modern one, Depania, or I don't know. There's several out now that I haven't been around to playing lately because I'm working on this. Anyways, this is starting out. Okay, so I've been trying to make this game for a long time now, and I've had to restart, and I'm always like stuck on something. So I'll get stuck on something, and then I'll shelve it for a while, and then maybe I won't get back to it. But I keep coming back to this, and I basically just created a way where I think I can actually finish it, and that's why I broke it down into the simplest form. The simplest form of an adventure game, if you could call it a game, is a choose your own adventure. I don't know if you ever read those books. Some of them they're called game books, but the original choose your own adventures debuted in the late '70s and then into the '80s. Where you read some text, and then it tells you to turn to a page, or it tells you to make a choice to turn to different pages, and then you let the story play out until it gets the ending. Sometimes the good ending, sometimes the bad ending, sometimes it's neutral. It all depends on the author. Um, well, I was going to go, and well, that's got to be a simple, like, if you boil down to an RPG or an adventure game is essentially a stripped down RPG. No stats or pointless side quests. It's all about exploring. It's all about revealing the story in a adventure game. So I was thinking the most simplest form is a choose your own adventure. Why? Because all it is branching paths. You have a text, you branch path. So I decided to. I was going to do this game in phases, and then I was going to add on each phase. I'm going to change it to where it's fully interactive. I'll have plans somewhere in the middle. I forget which phase it is. I have it written down, but I'm going to introduce a text parser. You're going to have inventory. So it's going to be a full-fledged text adventure at that point. And it's going to be the same game. So each phase is going to be essentially be the same game or the same story, you might say. And then I'm going to build on it. And so, in fact, let me pull up. I was using Grok here. I sometimes use the AI to bounce ideas off of. But let's go to my roadmap. In fact, I need to actually add a step in here, a phase in here. Okay, so I have all these different things. Okay, so this is basic choose your own adventure style, and it's not true choose your own adventure because it's going to have a single ending, and you're not going to have any dead ends, and you're not going to have any bad endings or good endings. I mean, the main end will be a good ending, but it'll be the ending that I create. So it's not a true choose your own adventure in the truest the truest sense of the word, you might say. But it's a branch. It'll be a branching narrative. Like you'll be able to read it like a a branching narrative book, you might say. Okay, so these are. I won't go through all of them, but of course, basic choose your own style adventure game. Then I was going to separate the navigation system from the choices because you have these different choices, like go to the saloon on go to the saloon on the left side of the street. Go to the I don't know, the post office on the right side of the street, go to the church north, and then eventually I'm gonna have a separate set of controls so that you can go north, south, east, and west, and I think up and down. I think is what I'm gonna do, and but that's in the second phase, and then the third phase, this room independence thing, and so okay, so here let me show you what a room actually consists of, and technically you just call these well technically it's a room, the class is a room, but it's in general it's like a page in a book, right? Um, this was my original text here, um, of what I had for this particular page. And then this is after I broke it out. In fact, I'm going to remove this here not too long from now. But essentially, it's just what was I saying? Oh yeah. So hit one if you wish to learn more about the. Here, let's actually not do that one. Let me see. See if I can do one that has to do with locations. Where are we at? Where he is? Okay. Okay, here we go. This one's a good one to demonstrate. Um, okay, Zanzibar the Great magician thief is running towards the Las Vegas strips, trying to escape police on foot. As Zanzibar comes to some random intersection, he notices two large hotels and a bar in between them, named the Lilliputian, the Blefuscu, and Gulliver's Bar and Lounge. Hit one if you want Zanzibar to enter the Lilliputian. Hit two if you want Zanzibar to enter the Blefuscu and Convention Center. Hit three if you want to enter Gulliver's Bar. Okay, so these are three locations. Now this isn't like a full narrative. This isn't like you'd read in a book. This is just a description of what happens. So these are kind of the events that happens. He's running from the police. He's gonna go into these couple of hotels here. Or a choice between the two hotels and the bar. And now, if I am doing directions, um, maybe the Lilliputian's on the left and the Blefuscu's on the right, and the bar is north, right? So later on, I'd actually separate this out. It'd be east, west, and north, um, as the three options, and then any option inside the page would be in there. In this case, it wouldn't be because all he's doing is going to a location. But anyways, that's what I mean by separating out the what did I do with that? Oh yeah, wait a minute. What did I was having a hard time switching in between windows and browser windows, but okay, so I separate the navigation system so that way I can leave choices themselves. When you need to do something within a room, for instance, you're not moving from room to room or from location to location. I'll have separate choices from that. Okay, and then the third one was the independence, which means they'll have different sets of choices. So the game will still work the same, but I won't have like hundreds of files. Like in here, let me show you how many rooms there are or how many pages. These are, technically you can think of these as pages and not really rooms. So right now I'm up to I'm not up to 348 because these meta files are essentially like where they're positioned in the 2D workspace in Redot. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm using Redot Engine, which is essentially Godot 4.3. If you know what that is, um, and that's what all of these here are. Um, so the meta deals are basically just the position of these within the project here. So I actually save them in a file, and so when it reloads them and positions them there. But I have about half of these items, so instead of 350, it's going to be like here. Let's just go ahead and check and see how many it is. It's 174. I'm at 174. It's going to be even more. Oh yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. I mean I kind of should have kind of realized that. But anyways, so okay, so here let's go back here. Here, let me show you how the game works. Okay, the actual game part, the game part took me like a couple of days to actually get this working. There's nothing here. In fact, this here is a page, or is a technically a room. I call it a room because eventually it's going to be like a real room in a regular adventure game. It's going to have inventory. It's going to have items in it. It's going to have a description. When I get to graphics, it's going to have the graphics in the file or whatever. Models or sprites or whatever I end up doing. But all this right now is just this text here. So start, take a magical vacation, blah, blah, blah. I'll explain to you the story here in a second. Yeah, no, not really. Not exactly. Okay, I've been doing this stuff since high school, and that's been a long time now. But I have a tons of projects that I've done that I never finished. I have a couple of projects that I finished, not very many. I've never actually completed I have never actually made an adventure game completely all the way through. I did something. I did a couple of little tiny little things way back in the day, and I don't know, not very good. So I'm not a beginner. I'm not even a novice, or I don't know how that novice is. I don't know if novice is before or after beginner, but you could say I'm intermediate, maybe. I'm not definitely not a beginner, but I'm not. You know, I mean, I can pretty much make any kind of game that I want to right now. Except for maybe a 3D game, and even that I can make now because these engines make it really easy, and it's nothing to translate from 2D to 3D because they got all the functions and stuff already done. Hey Rook, so technically it's not my first game. It's my first finished adventure game, you might say. Because like I said, I did a couple of small things before, but nothing. I couldn't show you anything that I've done in the past. Why? Because the couple of things that I did finish were back in like Windows 2000, early days. Windows before Windows 7, I think, and I made like a couple Flash games, and I tried playing around with Adventure Game Studio, and so mostly I don't have anything I could show you, but definitely not a beginner. But at the same time, it's kind of sort of my first adventure game, you might say. Anywho, so all this is just you press a number to go somewhere. So we'll go to the crystal ball. There's three choices here. You press 1, 2, or 3, and it goes there. And that's pretty. And that just took me a few days to get that running. The rest of the time I was trying to do the editor. I don't know if you can see this up here, but there's a button that says Save Room Data, and then there's a plus and a minus, and this saves the room data to disk in the JSON files I just showed you, and the plus and minus adds or removes rooms, and then these lines connect it, and all of these lock icons are because they're containers. This is the HBox contain. Both of these are HBox containers. The node, the line is on its own node 2D, and it's locked. And I have all these locks so you can't like screw around with them and change the scale and crap to it. So at some point, I plan on making a layout tool if I ever get to it that will completely do all of this visualization completely differently. For one thing, since I can draw on a Node 2D, that's what this line is. In fact, it's a see if I can find the script here. Custom line 2D. Custom line 2D is basically extends Node 2D and then it draws the line on the node essentially. So if I can do that, then I can draw all the lines onto a single Node 2D and overlay it. So that's what I'm going to do eventually. Anyways, so the game itself doesn't take that long. Okay, so back to the phases. I don't know if this is boring you or not, but so I got this room independence phase where it will have it'll have one like an overall description like when you first go into the page. If it's a similar location to the location before, it'll have like one main description, then it'll have one context specific description. In other words, if you returned at night or if you turn on the light and you came back and the light switches on, no save state system, so it's not like it knows that you turn on the light. But I just mean you might have a later part where the character turns on a light switch and leaves it on, and so each thing will say such and such is missing, or the light switch has been turned on, or somebody left the refrigerator door open or something, and it will have based on what page you're at. It'll bring up the right page. It'll bring up a different set of choices for you to choose. So it'll still pretty much work the same as it does now, but I'll start being able to make these like proper rooms later when I do that. And then I'm gonna have multiple player characters in one phase. I'm gonna start adding audio visual elements in phase 5, which is I'm gonna do like some different end credits for different choices you make, so you don't have to make multiple ending, but something to think about. I'm I could think about that maybe. Um, we'll see when I get there. I'm not even done with the choices here yet. Here, I'll show you because of how many I have here. Okay, now all of these are just lock icons, but see how long that tail is? I'm like at approximately 20% here, and then I used room and page interchangeably. So like this is a page, but it's also technically a room because the class is a room class, which has a description and things like doors and stuff in it. Okay, so basically the whole phase system thing means that I can add like one small thing and make sure it works, and then completely redo the game with some of the stuff in mind. And so by 6, I'm gonna start introducing a parser, and then I'm gonna have an inventory system after 6 because 6 is going to kind of act like the way that it did. In other words, you're still going to be making choices, but except for you're going to be typing in the choices instead of like hitting a button. So that way the game stays pretty much the same, but it's changed in the way it processes commands, basically. So that when I start adding the inventory system and stuff, then you'll be able to actually you'll be actually able to interact with it fully like you would any text adventure. Expansion of interactivity, expand the parser vocabulary with more verbs and actions. Build on phase 7 commands, because phase 7 is essentially okay. So phase 7 is inventory, so it's going to have drop, use, examine, that sort of thing. And so it's going to add these commands to basically the general command set. in it. When I introduce the parser, like I said, it's gonna be the same. In other words, the same choices. If you hit one before, now you have to hit one plus enter, because the enter, now you're actually entering a command instead of just hitting a key. So, and I have something like, there's 17 phases. I'm about ready to add in another phase in here though, because I have not thought considered a dialogue system. I'm going to need a dialogue system eventually, and I'm not really sure where I want to put it just yet though. Um, Dialogue system can be might be able to do it after the inventory system, maybe after the expansion of the interactivity, because at this point it's almost a full-fledged text adventure at this point. And then I'll have a save state system, so that you don't have to have multiple pages of the same location, exact location. You just have the state of the room that it's in when you leave it, when you're done, and then when you come back to the room, the state remains the same. And then I'll start actually adding puzzles in number 10. Then I'll start adding actual backgrounds and clickable hotspots and so on and so forth. You kind of get the idea in here. So that's and I realize this would take a lot longer if I just would do the end result. The end result's a fully point and click adventure game. Maybe 2D, maybe 3D. I'm thinking of making the backgrounds, the environments, three-dimensional models, three-dimensional environments that are textured to look hand painted. I want to say this right, because I always want to say hand textured or hand painted or whatever. It's textured so that it looks like you painted backgrounds by hand, and you only notice that they're 3D when the camera starts moving. That's something I want to do. I don't know if I'll get to it, but that's something I want to do eventually. Yeah, the phases are going to take forever. So if I went with the end result, it would take as long as a game normally takes. It would take a couple of years, whatever, and that's fine. But because I have a hard time getting my head around certain things, and like how I'm going to do this certain thing, I decided to break this up into the phases to make it easier for my brain. It makes it longer to make, but my brain can process it easier, and I can actually get done. And it also aids in progress. So I know that when I'm done with phase one, that I've made progress. That I've made the full story. It's a full story as it's going to be in the final game, and I can move on to the next phase. So I'm just doing it this ways for me, because it makes it less complicated for my brain, rather than make it actually easier or quicker. It's not quicker. It's going to be a lot slower, in fact. But yeah, because if I came up with just puzzles and I came up with the locations and I just did it, and it would probably be quicker, I think. But that being said, once I got the bulk of this done, this is what I call kind of front loading, because even though this doesn't have puzzles in it, it's got choices to where I can put puzzles in there. It'll make it easier to make puzzles when I come to the puzzle phase. And when I got all this done, then each subsequent phase should actually be faster and faster, because then it's just a matter of like making content and stuff. I'll have all the backing, all the scaffolding, you might say, for the whole game. Anywho, what I was saying before you entered into the chat, I was kind of looking at I don't know if I wanted to continue doing the streams. I'm gonna continue doing the game, obviously, but doing the streams, because I don't get, there's not that many people in here usually. There's 7 in here right now, which is the most I've seen in my stream. Which, thanks to everybody that's just idling and kind of lurking or whatever. They don't have an account or are not logged into an account. But I'm just kind of lamenting the fact that I'm up to 150 live streams, and I don't get that much traction in here. So I'm kind of like, well, do I want to do that? Originally I was not going to do live stream. I was just going to do devlogs, just like every other game um, every other developer that does this kind of stuff. And then Rook suggested actually that I do streaming, and I think somebody else, I think a couple other people have kind of suggested it too, because other than the setup time, which is kind of annoying, it takes me half an hour to set up everything because I have to figure out what description I'm gonna give this particular stream, and then um, I have to start up. I have to set up my streaming stuff, and then start up the streaming, and then I post to like X and the Discords and IRC, which is there's only a few IRC channels that I use, but there. So it takes, I don't know, it takes about 30 minutes. It's kind of annoying, like because I was like, if I'm gonna work on the game, I gotta stream the game. I gotta go live every time I want to work on the game because I want to show people all the steps, like all the steps that I'm going through to get there. Unfortunately, that also means that some of this is kind of boring. For instance, if okay, I'll go through. I'll give you a little idea of what I'll be going through when I start making the choices here. At night school entrance, John talks to the guards and then gains entrance to the school. And I already got some ideas of how I want him to gain entrance to the school. In fact, there'll actually be puzzles when I implement puzzles. There's a deal with the guards, and there's a deal with sneaking in the back way or whatever. Um, but what I do is I kind of go, okay, so how do I have to essentially brainstorm stuff, right? So sometimes I'm just sitting there staring at the page, kind of like, okay, what does he got to do now? What's he doing now? How does he get in there? What's going to stop him? And sometimes I'm just sitting here and just looking at it. Um, I tend to continue talking. Obviously, I don't run out of things to talk about really, unless if I'm really into something, if I thought of something, I'm going to type it out, or I'm sussing out a problem with scripting or something. Sometimes I'll stop talking a little bit there because I'm so absorbed into my game making, right? But half the time I just sit there and I do this. Okay, the other half of the time I end up figuring out what I want to. Sometimes I'll go to Grok and I'll go, okay, I'm doing this, this, and this, and I want to do this, and could you give me some ideas of how I should handle it? And then it comes up with crap, and then I use it to kind of bounce ideas off of. I don't really try. I try not to use the AI directly as much as I possibly can, so that it comes from me. It's not coming from. It's not an AI making it or whatever. But like yeah, so I'll talk with the AI. I'll come back here. I'll do some stuff. I'll enter in text once I know what text I want. I'll have to add these pages, and then I'll have to add the like the doors. And all doors are is they're simply objects that have a choice and a destination and its own ID, and the ID is just the name of it. Like this is 013 Night School, which is the next page. So the door directly leads to that. So like when you hit the one key, it automatically switches to the Night School page. So I have to do the linkages, and I have to come up with the deal, and then sometimes I get stuck and I go, okay, well, I need him to do this, but I can't do that, and so I have to go back to the AI, or just kind of try to come up with something really boring. And each page that I go through is almost the exact same process, right? I may do it a little bit differently, but it's almost the exact same process, which means half the time I'm making the game, even if I'm making progress, even if I'm making really good progress, and I'm really interesting to with my talking to the camera, um, it's still like, even if you're my best fan, you still wouldn't want to watch it, all for 3.5 hours to 4 hours, like nonstop. You wouldn't be here like the whole time and always doing it. I'm not saying that there isn't somebody that would do that, but for the most part, people wouldn't do that. I mean, just wouldn't. And so since I got like I got like 80 more different pages to do here. I got 80 more pages to actually go through, add choices into, and it'll be all the same, So there's a couple things I could do. Of course, I could switch it up. In other words, I could switch between programming and working on the story part here, right? I could actually beforehand. I don't really want to do it exactly, although I might have to because the streams wouldn't be that interesting. Um, but I could start doing some concept art for the characters and stuff. I'm no way an artist. I am okay at copying stuff. I'm okay at I don't come up with the stuff from imagination. I'm pretty good at copying cartoon characters or comic strips or something. You know, um, I can copy Snoopy and Garfield, and I can do some Disney characters and stuff. Mostly copying though, rather than from memory. Um, but that's as far as my art skills are, and so I almost didn't want to start prematurely like working on some of the art stuff. In fact, I did a little bit in my older videos, and those ended up kind of boring too. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll start concepting some stuff, just to make sure that that things change up a little bit. So the one thing I could do, I guess, is I could split it, between story, between drawing, audiovisual stuff, whatever. I could probably split it up into a few different things. Um, and I haven't really decided whether or not I'm going to do that yet. I can spend half of I have a break about halfway through, so at about 1:30 my time, which is about 24 minutes from now. 23 minutes from now, something like that. I'll go on a break, a 30-minute break, then I'll come back, and so I could do like the story part on one hand, and then work on my layout tool afterwards on the other part. The only reason I haven't been doing that lately is because this is slow going, and I want to get a majority of this done. The layout tool is almost secondary because this works for what I need. I can create rooms here, and I can see how they connect and how they're laid out, and I can use this to finish this game, this phase of the game. So, um, so I have kind of laid off on the layout tool, but so yeah, so basically a lot of this is going to be redundant, and you're not going to want to watch it all the time. So I'm thinking maybe what I should do is maybe I should only stream once in a while, or maybe I should go ahead and go back to just straight up making videos. In which case, I still have to record. I still have to record video, of the actual development to actually make the updates. And the only problem with that is I need to edit it, which means I need it to be either once a week or once every 2 weeks, which is kind of what I'm doing my updates already right now. I'm doing it once every 2 weeks. But so it kind of takes a long time to edit. So that's why I'm kind of like I don't know if I want to, spend all my time trying to edit a long form video. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to see. I'll have to see if there's a way I can make videos quickly and efficiently. Maybe I do them once a week, or maybe I do them once a day. If I, so if I record everything, I can record everything that I do over my sessions and not stream it. That means I have a lot of editing to go through if I do it that way. What I'm doing now is after when the stream is over, I go in and I make a short recording explaining the progress I made that day, and it's only for like a minute or so that I do, and I still have to edit those together, but at least I'm not spending hours and hours and hours, days on an edit. I'm making the game, I'm making the progress, and that's what I'm doing. So I don't know. I guess I've been jabbering on for long enough. I should actually probably get to some work here. Um, so like I said, so in 20 minutes I'm going to be going on my break, but I'll go ahead and start this here. Now the one thing we got here is, let me see here. Let me look at this page here. Uh, oh, is this the original one? Okay, this is the original one. Once out of the confines of Lapswood, Hubert stops to give instructions, sends John to night school in Princess Prep, and Hubert goes to Wizard U and Fairy God College. Oh, by the way, assuming you're still here, you may or may not be. The story is about a magic kingdom that turned to tourism in order to fund the kingdom. Basically, pay people so they don't have to collect taxes. And so it was working really, really well for a while until suddenly the king starts acting strangely. There's this new guy that just came in, and with his holding company, he's bought up the resort from the king, which the king would never sell. So that's one of the things that makes the king look a little weird. And the wizard Hubert, who was originally named Harold, which I might switch back to Harold anyways. He was the advisor and friend to the king. He's the one that suggested that they turn to tourism, and so he basically goes out and okay, so basically the king starts acting strangely, the and things just start kind of closing down. Okay, so if you're like ridiculously wealthy, you can go in, you can indulge your fantasy of being a knight or princess or a wizard or a fairy godmother, and you get some basic training through these different schools. You got night school, you got princess preparatory, you got wizard university, and you got fairy god college. And all of them give you like preliminary like training and how to do stuff before you actually start on like your fantasy adventure vacation thing. And so lately the schools have been closed, and the knights they're training with real weapons, and the dragons who are usually friendly in enchanted lands are starting to burn down villages and acting pretty much anti behavior mostly here, yeah. Um, but so Hubert, the wizard and chief advisor to the king and best friend of the king, was noticing that the king was acting weird, and so he decides he's gonna go outside the realm to a different realm to find somebody that can help him be sort of a fresh set of eyes and help him figure out what's going on with the kingdom. Why is everything closed down? There's only one food concession open, which is Scarborough Fried Chicken, which it has its own little history. But um, the only hotel that's open, well, there's two. Actually, there's actually two hotels, but the main one on the main strip is called the Grand Enchanted Landian, and technically it's open, but nobody can ever seem to get a room there, and it's rumored that it's being that somebody's taken up most of the rooms for whatever reasons, and and then there's no other hotels or inns other than the Count's Bats and Belfry Hotel, which is a friend of Hubert's, and you don't meet him until later. So basically, this kingdom is falling on hard times. The schools are closing up. People are disappearing. The dwarves' minds have become closed society. Normally, they're welcoming and they're friendly, and they build these awesome halls and stuff. But lately, they've they've closed the mines, and nobody knows what's going on. And then so basically, Hubert needs to bring John in, and they need to figure out what's going on. What's the big deal? There's a guy that was banished before, an evil sorcerer, named Maximilian Spell, and he was a bad dude. He was doing stuff to people and he was trying to open portals to other realms in order to conquer them. And it's rumored that he's coming back. So that's kind of the setup for the whole story here. Fantasyland's having problems in a very simple term. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be comedy, fantasy, cartoon, adventure. I plan to make the characters all 2D sprites and hand drawn animation kind of stuff. Um, but like I said, the little thing about the 3D I want to eventually do is I want to texture the 3D environments to look hand painted so that you won't know that it's not just a hand painted background until the camera moves. Anywho, so at this point, okay, so what I'm trying to figure out right this second here is do I need to add in another page where Hubert sends John out to the first two schools and John, let's see, give him a little bit of information, relays a bit of information. Uh, let's see. He hasn't actually said, at least in this part, he hasn't said that he's going to send him to the couple of schools. That's the instruction. So I kind of need either an existing page to be modified, like this one. This is an original page. An original page is when he's actually at the night school entrance. But maybe maybe this is where he sends him to. Well, I don't know. At the entrance, I might need another page by itself. In fact, you know what? I'll do that. I'll even show you the process of how I do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, this is the origin of the viewport. I don't know how to say this. This is the 2D map origin, or the world origin, or however you want to say it. So everything that gets created is actually going to sit over here, which is where 00 is right over here. This little blue square is the viewport, and these are outside the viewport. Anyways, I'm going to need one, so I'm just going to use the one. Let's go plus that. You can see it says 00 new location. So if I go here, this one is called Night School Entrance. So I need to see if there are any more Night School Entrance ones, and they'll be like location 12. And the reason that you have these numbers after him, random villages 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all that stuff, but you have a single number, is because eventually I want this to be like a single room, and not these villages either. Though I have to. Whoa. I should have done that. I didn't change anything, did I? This is the actual JSON here. See a door's choice and a destination. Hey, Crasher Hole. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, nice to see you again too. So, what have you been up to lately? I've just been working on the game here. I'm gonna be going to break in about 12 minutes, so just a heads up. Um, okay, I was just making sure that I didn't like flood this or something. Okay, so this is Night School Entrance. This is location 12. Apparently, Night School Entrance only has one page, so I'm gonna actually add on another page. I'm gonna call it that. So let's copy that. Now let's go over here, which is the new room, and then I'm gonna change the ID, paste, and then we're gonna put a 1 at the end because we don't want that interfering when I save it. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take this Night School Entrance. I'm going to copy let's do this. Let's copy copy that. Copy over here. We'll add it to the door. This is a specs array. This is just a text, an array of strings that I put in here so that I can make doors within the editor without actually adding another button over here somehow. This just kind of makes it neat and tidy here. Okay, so this is going to go to night school. Now this one is actually going to go to night school entrance 1. Okay, so let's copy that. Let's go to this guy. No, let's go to oh yeah, I want this to go to that one. Okay, so let's just go ahead and paste. There you go. Let's do that. I have a semicolon there at the end. I was going to use that as a delimiter. It doesn't really strictly need it, but I've been kind of too lazy to take it out. Okay, so now these are too far away from each other. You can't really read anything, but I hit save room data. And if you notice the lines going here and then going back, that's because I made this door point to this room, and I made this room's door point to the next one down. So now I'll zoom in here a little bit, and well, let's see if I can. Okay, let's move this guy up a little bit so that I have a little bit of room there. That way I can take this and the reason it's going so sluggishly is because I got like 178 pages, and they all have at least 3 of these lock icons, and so it's kind of makes it kind of chunky because they're just all loaded in right now. They're not loaded in parts or anything, which I might do dynamic loading when I get to the layout tool. Yes, Crasher, everything is pretty good so far. I'm making progress on my game. That's something. It's really slow progress though, but it's progress anyways. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this, copy, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to paste this here. One, if you wish to go to night school, night school entrance 1. Normally I would probably call it something else like Lapswood Edge, whatever the next one is, because technically he's still there. He hasn't gone to night school just yet, but I guess I'll go ahead and just leave this here. We'll say Hubert sends John to night school, then instructs him to head to Princess Prep afterwards to find out anything he can about the current situation. Okay. All right. John eventually approaches the front entrance to night school. Okay, so this is just, here, let's pop this up on the screen. Yeah, I was just saying later on with the layout tool, I'm not going to mess with this editor stuff anymore. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Tool scripts basically run while your editor's running, so you can have it update stuff in real time. That's how I can update the description and the name here as I'm typing it in. but it also has its own set of weird problems, like when you're trying to select stuff and whatever, and just a bunch of weird stuff going on. That I decided I was gonna make a separate layout tool, but there's enough here that I can just make the game off of this. I don't even need a layout tool, but I'm still going to build one anyways, just for future, to make things easier in the future. In fact, I'll build on the layout tool so it becomes a proper editor later on for the whole game. But right now, anyways, so I just made this little. It's a little linear page. Hit one if you wish to go to night school. I could say hit one to continue. Probably is better. And then here, and actually I don't need a space in between here. But I do need to actually hit my save button, because just saving the scene doesn't cut it, because the scene doesn't save with all the stuff. In fact, all this stuff ends up being removed. So save room data. See, we have night school entrance 1 here, and John talks to the guards. Okay. That's kind of how this works. And then here, since I copied the exact same text here, I'll be working with this and starting this from here. But yeah, just the dynamic loading for the layout, so that way it'll keep things nice and snappy. So right now, this scrolls pretty snappy, but doing this, see how it jerks around? That's because there's so many on screen. There's so many lines and things that it's just bogging it down. I could do some things to streamline it, but like I said, this works to actually do what I want it to do, and I'll make the layout tool proper and make sure it dynamically loads based on zoom level. If you're zoomed in to this close, it'll only mess with these items. It won't mess with anything. It won't deal with anything outside it. It'll clip them, and that will keep the speed from being chunky, even if I have a lot of pages in there. Okay, so now, so here we are. I got 3 minutes until break, and so I should just go ahead and get ready for break here. But now you get an idea of what I'm doing here, anyways. Stupid thing. There we go. Let's save room. Okay. John eventually approaches the front. Okay. And then, so the next one I'm actually going to be working on is him at the entrance. And I got some notes I can pull up, and we'll pull up later. Anyways, if I don't see you on the other side of the break, thanks for stopping by. If it doesn't hurt you, you can idle. You can have your computer, or you can have the browser idle here for a while I take my break, and then I'll start talking again. Like I'll turn the audio back on and all the stuff. So you'll be able to tell when I come back. So I will see you, I guess, on the other side of the break, unless you can't stay. So thanks for coming by, though, anyways, and hopefully I'll see you on the other side of the break. Okay. I'm actually going to go ahead and mute the mic, which I always do when I do this. Okay, I am back, and now I'm back down to 3 viewers, which is fine, is normal. But it's great. It was great to have 7 viewers total, which is the most I think I've ever seen in. It's off of Restream, so it's a combination of both YouTube and Rumble, but uh, it's the most I've ever seen in my channel on my live streams here. Anyways, let's get back to. It's kind of funny too, because whenever I start talking about how the live stream is not really doing much for me, and I'm not getting much viewers, and it's like almost like why should I do it? Then that's the day I usually get more people come in. Now they don't stay in, and they don't stay for long, but anyways, it's just kind of funny. But a lot of that has to do with timing. Not my general amount that I get in general. I just mean the fact that I got 7 and now it's back down to 3, and it kind of depends on what time period it is. Rook, I think for you it's about 7, so just after 7 p.m. and that's not too bad. Crash of Pole, I believe he's is from India. That's going to be 8.5 hours. So right now would be 10:30, right? It'd be after 10:30. So he might almost be ready to go to bed, I think. Anyways, thanks to everybody that stopped by and is thanks to you. Oh, it looks like 4 now. Thanks to you 4 that are in here, popping in here, looking or listening, whatever. And okay, so the last thing I did was this one. Hubert sends John to night school, then instructs him to head to Princess Prep afterwards to find out anything he can about the current situation. Um, let me think. Let me think here for a second, because I don't know if I like the way that's structured. And actually, let me check something out here. Once they're out of Lapswood, I guess I can go ahead and do this. Head toward the road. All right. So, okay, so I have this extra page down here that, and this says he sends them out here. Um, I don't know. Maybe I should combine them back into one. Um, I'm having a okay. This I don't know. There's some sort of weird disjoin here, at least in my brain. But basically, um, so the one above said that. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have deleted that. In fact, I haven't actually saved it. Let's Lapswood Edge. Lapswood Edge. Let's see some here. Lapswood Edge. I'll go here since it's not saved yet. Once they leave Lapswood, then he instructs them to leave, to go. Okay. And I almost should put that on the bottom of these. It's 6 of them though. They'd be all pretty much the same. I'm sending you to such and such, you know. You know what? Okay. And I guess it's really only myself that's having the problem. I don't know if you had read this or if you had known everything that I put in these, if you would find it any kind of a problem. Hubert sends John to night school and then instructs him to head to Princess Prep afterwards to find out anything he can about the current situation. John eventually approaches the front entrance to night school. Okay. I have to do that because there's plenty of pages, plenty of things to do in night school. And if I made it a choice to go that or Princess Prep, I would have to after the night school ones, I'd have to also take the Princess Prep ones and then put them afterwards, depending on which he chose. I don't know if like maybe I could do that. I mean, I might could do that. It's I mean it's still duplicating some information. Um, what if I did that? What if I duplicated the information? I don't have a problem doing that. It's just it's kind of long and drawn out because it's several pages, I think. Hmm. Well, before I would make that choice, I guess what I should do is I should do all the pages where they go do it both and then they come back to they meet at Scarborough Fried Chicken. And what I could do then is I could decide that um I don't know, I could rewrite it. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it because of how many pages it is. It just means I have to duplicate pages and then I have to keep track of how long that is to do that. I mean, it would be okay. It would give more of a thanks, Rook. Um, for the player, I'm sure it would be okay. For me, it means a little bit of extra tracking in my head. I mean, I could write it down somewhere, I guess. That would make sense, but maybe in my notes. But where I'd have to track to make sure. Oh, okay, so what did I do here? Did I, you know, did I make this a choice? How did I make it a choice? And that's what I was saying. If I was making both of them choices, both Hubert and John's deal, then I'd have to write complete through lines for each of them and duplicate them multiple times. Now, if I do it this way, I have to duplicate it both ways, but I don't have to duplicate everything like quadruplicate. Like I don't have to put that much stuff, but so that it's still linear. In the end, I don't really want it to be linear. In the end, I want it to be you to be able to switch between John and Hubert, um, each going on their respective adventures. And you could play them one after the other, or you could just you could stop and you could just switch at any time, switch to another character. That's a thought. I don't know how hard it will be in my upcoming phases when I switch things around a little bit. Or should I just leave it as linear as possible, and just like I said, that's what I've mostly been doing. I've mostly been doing. I would do the duplicate occasionally, but only in between story beats. That was supposed to be the point. In literal fact, in actual fact, with the game, I could actually split those up as four separate storylines to be able to be changed at any time. But the way I was setting this up is I was doing the choices in between the story beats, and the story beats only happen in a certain order. So John at night school, and then John at Princess Prep, then Hubert at Wizard U, and then Hubert at Fairy God College. And that was supposed to be the order that they were supposed to go in. If Okay, so like if I think of this like a full adventure game, let's say full point and click adventure game, I would have both. You'd be able to do both. You, like I said, you'd be able to switch at any time. I don't know. Maybe I should just stick to my guns. I'll stick to my guns. If it's too linear, maybe I can fix it after the fact. You know. I gotta check my adventure roadmap too. Maybe where did I put the save state system? Room states enhanced player. Design data structure to store the game state. Save system, implement a load system, test the save and load system, ensure compatibility with reusable rooms. Room reusability. The save state system will actually help that, which means it might need a. I might have to rewrite the rooms in that phase. Trying to decide how to structure this choose your own adventure stuff. Uh, to sorry about that. To make it easier to uh to make it easier to do this stuff later. You know what? In order to in order for progress, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this just like I have been deciding to do it. Hey, helping hand, where exactly are you? I would say calling from, but we don't actually call anymore. But where are you located? Like what general vicinity of the world? You don't have to get real specific. Just an idea. Are you in Europe? Are you in India? Are you here in the States or in Canada? Um, that sort of thing. So, anyways, welcome back, Helping Hand. I am trying to decide whether or not how far I want to take this thing because okay, so I don't know if you know, but I can do loops. In the gameplay, you can do loops. You can have door that does the door, that does that links to the same room. It'll just keep on going to the same room forever until you put something in to make it go to a different room. The states, okay. What about East Coast or West Coast or Central somewhere? And you don't even have to give me the state if you don't want to. I don't mind. It's just I'm here in Florida, so I'm on the East Coast, and right now it's like I said, it's 2:23 right now here on the East Coast. Okay, so Let me think here for a second. Um, the story is pretty linear, and all the pages, of course, are linear right now. And okay, central. Okay, cool. So yeah, so you're actually an hour or two behind, probably 2 hours. Probably it's about just afternoon for you, I think. Okay. Um. So anyways, this is all from here on out is all pretty linear, and then what I've been doing is I've been taking each of the pages, which are essentially story beats, and then I've been putting the choices in there, and then they go back to the same story beat, so they all go follow the kind of the same linear path. Later on, when you're able to switch characters, you'll be able to um, go pretty much in any order you want, at least as far as the story lets you. So, anyways, approaches the front entrance. Oh, I was trying to think about whether or not the Princess Prep stuff, the night school stuff, I could do as choices, because what it means is I have to duplicate the choices so that you end up going to both places anyways. Because the way this is set up, like I said, it's not like a true choose your own adventure where you're going to an ending. This is still just going to the main narrative. It's like an interactive narrative at this point. You know, eventually there'll be a game. It'll have puzzles. It'll have, like I said, you'll be able to switch between multiple player characters. You might be able to switch between the villains. I still don't really know how to handle that yet, as far as I don't want the player to think that um, what they make the villain do that affects the outcome of the story, because it's still a linear story. But you know, most story based deals games are, you know, they're pretty linear. They have non-linearity built into them, and um, you can have that if you want. But this is I'm telling a specific story, and so there's going to be linear elements in it, and I was thinking it was a good idea originally to allow you to play the villains. They'll be doing puzzles and stuff. They'll be achieving their goals, but eventually won't win because they're essentially the bad guys. Anywho, I keep on looking at this page because I don't like this idea of sends them to the schools, and then that's all that's in there. There's not even anything for a narrative thing to go in there. That's why I was going. Maybe I should just kind of recombine these back into one instead, where where I just say Hubert sends John to night school. As he gets to the entrance, he hears two guards at the front gate arguing or something. Okay. So I might just do that. Might just do that. Let's go ahead and talks to the guards, gains entrance to the school. This one says he goes, which is the front entrance. So let's just do something. Let's go ahead and copy. Let's go ahead and put that in here. Of course, and gains entrance to the school. That's actually going to be part of the choices. Uh, well, wait a second. Let's do this. maybe I should look at my notes. Okay, so at this point, I have to say disclaimer: you will see spoilers, and in fact, that's kind of the whole point here. Is that's the wrong deal. Recent. Oh darn it! It should be the newest one, I think. I have to make sure these are synced up here. Let's see how many pages are in here. All right. I didn't realize I had 238 pages. That's crazy. That's huge. These are my original handwritten, handwritten notes that I typed in, and then stuff ever since then that as I've been developing, I've just been adding stuff to this. It's just sort of like it's not really anything structured. It's just a bunch of extra notes. Okay, so you probably don't know how Enchanted Lands is structured. You do have kind of like a main street. Okay, so basically the Enchanted Lands, the main part of the resort is in this cloverleaf formation. So you have these four areas. You have I forget how I did it. I did upper and lower. Did I do upper and lower? It's like night school and then princess prep down. Let's see, here, let me. I need to check there. OBS, so let's see where I'm pointing exactly. It's like there's like night school up here, and then down here is princess prep, and then over here is like Wizard U, and up here is like um no, this is like Fairy God College, and this is like Wizard U right up in here. I mean, if you could just visualize it in your head, it's like a four-leaf clover, and then the stem comes down the middle or kind of curves like this. And the stem is where all the where all the taverns, inns, shops, basically the hotels and restaurants and all that stuff is in the strip. And I'm giving it two names. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to include both names because one's kind of they're both kind of puns. One is called the Renaissance Fair, and it's an irony that it's in a pseudo quasi medieval kingdom, and it's called the Renaissance Fair. It's the Renaissance Fair inside a Renaissance Fair, so to speak. It's sort of like a little joke like that. It's a little kind of pun. The other name, which is you might almost say in the story, could be the actual other name, is it's also called Orthogon Alley, and I think if you know a little anything about Harry Potter, you know it's a direct like kind of reference to, or I should say, a pun of Diagon Alley, right? If Diagon Alley is diagonal, and I don't know why J.K. Rowling named it that, but if she named it that because the idea is that you know, um, it's at an angle. In other words, you can't see it normally. You have to have something special to see it. So it's like diagonal. It's not dead on where you see something dead on. It's like diagonal where you can't really see it. I think that's the idea of calling it Diagon Alley. I think, or diagonally. It might have just been a complete play on words, but if it's an actual play on the actual words diagonally, Diagon Alley, diagonally, then I can call mine Orthogon Alley or orthogonally. Orthogonal just means dead on. It means straight on, right? Diagonals like crossways, and then orthogonal is like dead on. So it's like the four sides they're orthogonal. So it's north, south, east, and west, and then diagonally is northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. That's diagonal. So, anyways, I thought of and I might put both names in the game as sort of like word puns, basically. So the Renaissance Fair, it's kind of an irony that it's already essentially like this medieval, uh, pseudo medieval kingdom, where calling it a Renaissance Fair would be kind of redundant. whereas an actual Renaissance fair is something that um, that kind of gives you a taste of what medieval life is kind of like, sort of. Even though I'm sure they don't do it real justice, and you probably wouldn't want to actually live in actual Renaissance times. But you know, where they have the crafts and they have the street food, and you know, they dress sometimes they dress up as in medieval costumes and that sort of thing. So that was just kind of a little joke thing that I thought in my head. Orthogon Alley or the Renaissance Fair, whichever you want to call it. So why was I saying that? Ba 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 ba. And the only food concession open is Scarborough Fair Chicken um, at the fair or at in Orthogon Alley. Um, and there's actually another restaurant chain which is closed, but I actually decided I get to use it. So you probably heard of Round Table Pizza. It's mostly on the West Coast. You know, I used to live in Oregon, and I lived on the West Coast for most of my adult life, and we only moved to Florida. Well, we moved to Montana um, because my brother lives there, and we only did that for about maybe a year, not quite a year, and then we moved down here to Florida in 2014. So we've been here since 2014. So we've been here about 11 years now. But um, I want to get back to the West Coast at some point. But on the West Coast is Round Table Pizza, if you know what that is. You may or may not know. Has some really good pizzas, and basically their theming, at least their original theming, was kind of like the Knights of the Round Table kind of thing. Sometimes um, in their what do you call that, marketing or whatever, like the menus and stuff, or whatever. They had the pictures of like dragons and like Merlin the Wizard and stuff. There's like these little cartoon characters, little comic, little comic style characters, and I think so they've since kind of dropped the branding. Sort of, it's just kind of a generic deal. But I was thinking, you know, okay, Cerulean is what I call our realm because it's based on blue, like a sky blue. Um, in fact, these realms are kind of named after various colors. Um, like Verdant is where the princess comes from, and they're mostly green over there. And then I have some vampires, and vampires aren't your usual vampires. They're vampires in my story. They're kind of misunderstood. Vampires in this case they're good guys. They're not bad, but vampires are in a different one that's based in red. I forget where. Um, let's see. Let's see if I still have that here. Account. Uh, I don't know if I even have that in here. These are the different scenes. Rottweiler, Princess Hubert, John, the Count. Okay, the Count makes it back. Uh, see, the Count meets a vampire princess. Uh, huh. I wonder. I don't know where it's at. The Count. Vacation Princesses. He can't just turn himself into a bat. Okay, that's fine. The Count. Okay. Oh, okay. Zora. Princess Zora from. Oh, Alazar. And there's a red color called Alizarian something or another. I forget what exactly it's called, but it means red. It's a form of red pigment, red coloring. So she's from so the Count, and actually specifically the vampire princess. She's from the realm of Alzar. So anyway, Cerulia is our realm essentially. Um, and what one of my characters his name is Zanzibar the Great, and he's in our realm. He's a magician, but he's also a con artist and a thief, and he has a pet crow named Corvus that he usually uses to help him steal from his audience. And eventually, towards around the time that he's enters the lands, he's being chased by the police because the police have actually caught him at this point. Now he's supposed to be a really good magician, really good sleight of hand, but uh, basically his crimes have caught up with him. His reputation preceded him, and he's now and at this moment, and we don't know how because I haven't really come up with it, but um, he is running on foot from the police, and he's running up towards the Las Vegas Strip, and he ducks into either one of the two hotels or the bar, and he meets up with these traveling wizards, and they're real wizards, and they're from Enchanted Lands, and they were actually holding a convention in Las Vegas, right, and so they open a portal, and Zanzibar manages to escape in between in with them, kind of almost pretending to be a real wizard himself. So he ends up in Enchanted Lands, and okay, so back to the pizza thing, right? So round table pizza. So I just thought it would be kind of funny if basically there are more table shapes for pizzerias than just round table. And really, what it is Cerulia has the round table pizza. I was thinking of okay, so if you know what big boy restaurants are, if you ever heard of Bob's Big Boy, um, they're kind of a diner style, like a casual restaurant. They're not fast food, but they're better than fast food. But they're more like a almost a Denny's, maybe higher or lower than Denny's, but like a Denny's style, kind of like old fashioned diner style American food. Hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, that sort of thing. And one of the biggest ones was called Bob's Big Boy, and that was in California. And each of the Big Boy restaurants are kind of named after their franchise owners. There's one called Kips, and there's one called I think there was one called Vips and um, uh, Vix, Vix, maybe Vix. I can't remember exactly, but there's a bunch of different franchise owners that owned certain big boy restaurants, like a chain of them. So I was thinking there's different chains of these different franchises of these table pizzerias, and so other realms get other shapes like triangle table pizza and square table pizza. And Enchanted Lands kind of gets to the bottom of the barrel. It gets crooked table pizza, and basically cricket table is literally what it sounds like. Its tables have got all different kinds of shapes. They're crooked, they're jagged, they're whatever. They're different sides, even different leg lengths at some point. So crooked table pizza is also a restaurant chain in Enchanted Lands. However, it's been closed. But the Wizards got in touch with the owner and was able to use it as a staging point in order to get into into Las Vegas and out of Las Vegas back into Enchanted Lands. So and then that's where Zanzibar ends up. He ends up in Enchanted Lands after escaping from police. I don't know why I just told you all that because it's not pertinent to the part that I'm trying to get done today. But I just figured since I pulled up the notes. Now this notes has every note, everything. If you listen and watch these regularly, you're gonna get all kinds of spoilers. I kind of like I don't mind that much uh, because of why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it. I just figured, okay, so I'll say a little bit too about what my kind of my original goals and stuff were. So um, so I was looking at the sort of the market thing, and you have to really get into marketing. Like people set up their Steam page early. Um, they try to get it reviewed as much as possible. They try to get a demo up early. In fact, several people suggest that you make sure that your Steam page is really early so that you can get the most wish list for it. And I was going to go on, I can find any game that I've ever played, or even some that I wanted to play but never played. I can find it on the internet anywhere. I can find them for free. I can find them in abandonware, which is legally gray area if I want to. I can go to Good Old Games and buy bunches of games that have been kind of retrofitted to be able to play on modern computers. There's a thing called Exodus, which has a number of old DOS games, which you can just download it, and it sets it up with DOSBox, and you can play these old games. And so there are tons and tons of free games out there, or near free, or there's these, Epic does this giveaways. Who else does it? Steam sometimes does giveaways. Good Old Games does giveaways. Probably any other any other game, any other place that distributes games. And I'm kind of going, you know what? Instead of stressing out about trying to make something that people will buy, um, so that you can cater to people. In other words, you can do like a market research and say, well, this is the kind of thing that's making the most money or has the most clicks or whatever. This is the thing, and then you can form a game around your research that you did. I was going, instead of doing that, instead of stressing out about trying to get something that works, trying to get something done as quick as possible. I still want to do that, but I don't have the stress of having to have to do that. I can just go at my own pace. This could take years if I wanted to. If it never sees the light of day, then I don't feel too bad because I continually worked on it, and I'm not beholden to anybody. And so I figured, and then okay, so there's that. There's the thing that there's tons of free games out there, and how can I hope to compete? And a lot of these guys, sometimes they do really good. There's a definite market even for adventure games, especially now. There's a resurgence of that, and but instead of just fighting that, I figured if I could do YouTube and make devlogs or streams or whatever, and people watched it and they supported me financially, that'd be great. You know, doing it this way, it means in the future, somebody might want to support me. Maybe not. Maybe it'll never happen. But I figured this is kind of the best way to go, so I can work at my own pace. It's good to set deadlines, so I should set deadlines for myself, but I don't have to have a deadline. I don't have to. I'm not beholden to shareholders. I'm not beholden to a publisher. I'm not beholden to even to people that It's not like I'm not like kickstarting this so that then I have to perform or not. Um, so I'm like, okay, I'll do this and I'll make YouTube and maybe somebody will support me. And I'm not sure why I'm even telling you this now because like always, I got some ADHD, and so I'll start on a thing, I'll go on a fun tangent, and then I'll completely forget about my original point. I mean, that's just how it usually works. But anyways, So yeah, so I'm kind of doing this at my own pace. Um, I'm not that interested in selling it right now. Oh yeah, okay. This goes back to it. Okay, that's the part. The one part is that there's tons of free games, tons of competition, uh, uh, and even if I have a really good game, there's a good chance that I may not make any money at all off of it. Okay, so but with that pressure gone, I don't have to worry about that. Now the other side is I was watching. I don't know if you've heard of Broken Age or a Double Fine Adventure. It's basically the Tim Schafer, the guy that helped co-write Maniac Mansion 2, Day of the Tentacle. Um, Worked on the Monkey Island games. Worked on a few games for LucasArts, Lucasfilm Games slash LucasArts. Um, he did a Kickstarter for an adventure game, and he raised $3 million. It was the biggest up until that time, the biggest amount of money raised, and he was off. And then they made it, and then they ran out of money about halfway through, I guess, and were relying on pre-orders. And then they finished it the second half later, and I got it and I played it, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't like my most favorite adventure game ever, but it was not too bad. And then one of the perks on the Kickstarter was a documentary, behind the scenes documentary. You know, uh, on Blu-ray, it's gonna be it's like I don't know 10 Blu-ray discs. It's a bunch of Blu-ray discs, anyways. I don't remember exactly how many. And you're gonna get to see the behind the scenes of how he made the game. And then I watched it, and I was just like, I didn't know how to make a game. I didn't find out any information, anything new here. Just a bunch of guys that kind of ribbed each other, and then Tim Schafer would go off in his office, do some writing, and then later on they would show a couple of meetings that they had where he explains part of the thing to him, and part of it was the fact that he didn't want to do any spoilers. However, I'm saying if you're interested in behind the scenes stuff, spoilers shouldn't be a problem because most likely you would have played the game first before watching the documentary, or you don't care if you see spoilers and you watch the documentary first, and it wouldn't matter. The spoilers wouldn't matter. If you did care about spoilers, you wouldn't watch it. I was hoping they would show some good like behind the scenes. This is how we make this game, and it really wasn't, and it just annoyed the crap out of me. So I said, when I do mine, I'm gonna show them everything. I'm gonna show how I come up with ideas, the stories. You're gonna get full spoilers. You're gonna get everything. So that's what I did. That's what I'm doing. And if you stay here for any length of time, you'll probably see spoilers. That being said, you're not gonna be here all the time, every time. Even if you're my biggest fan, you wouldn't. You liked me the best out of everybody in the world, and whatever. You wouldn't necessarily spend every waking moment consuming every bit of video that I put out. I mean, that just wouldn't happen. Even if I was your most favorite person in the world, right? So I'm going. Well, you're gonna see parts of it. You're gonna see some spoilers, and then you're not gonna see others, right? Because you don't want to watch it. You're tired of watching it, or something, or you just kind of don't care, right? So you're not gonna always. Occasionally, you're gonna pop in. You're gonna watch it. Even if you watch it regularly, it's fine. You're gonna see some spoilers anyways because how can I make a game and still keep the making of the game away from you? That's not gonna happen. So I'm not hiding anything. So if you watch or listen for any length of time, you're gonna get some spoilers. That's just the way it is. And I don't mind that much. And somebody that ends up playing it in the end, that never watched my streams, they won't get the spoilers, and so it won't be a big deal to them either because they won't have seen it anyways. And it won't be a big deal to you because you like watching this kind of stuff, so it's not going to matter to you either. So that's kind of like my whole thing here, and I just wanted to kind of warn you up front that you're gonna see some spoilers. You're gonna know the story from start to finish, probably very well if you watch or listen for any length of time. So, anyways, that's what I wanted to say there, and I realized I kind of wasted time. I didn't waste time on purpose, but that's just how it tends to go. I I get off on a tangent. I start saying stuff, and eventually, I'm an hour into it, and I've done nothing but talking about it. So, sorry about that, but yeah. So let me get on with this, and maybe 30 minutes is enough for me to get this page done, this section done. Um, He returns John to the night school, instructs him to head to Princess Prep afterwards to find out anything he can about the current situation. John eventually approaches the front entrance to night school. Uh, okay, so I was going to decide whether or not I was going to recombine these these pages. This sends them to night school, and it's just it's not even a story beat. I mean, oops. I mean, here he's at night school entrance, and here he's going to the night school entrance. So I'm going. Maybe I should. Uh, maybe I should go ahead and. It's gonna have several night school entrances here, but maybe I should just do it here and start here. Okay. So this is what I was gonna do. Okay, so let's go ahead and they're early in my notes. Let's see. We'll call it night. We'll search for Knights Academy because that's what it was called originally. Originally. Oh yeah, Knights Academy. I call it that originally, but I changed it to Night School because again, play on words, right? Night school, as in you're going to school at night to maybe to get your GED or to learn a particular skill. Night school, as in NIGHT school, as in nighttime school, versus night school, KNIGHT, which is a school for nights. I thought that was made it sound a little bit funnier than Knights Academy. Um, Now I had some ideas for some puzzles, and I decided I was going to go ahead and okay. Oh, wait a second. Wait. Where am I at? Start by going to the Knights Academy and Princess Prep. Oh, interesting. When I was looking at some of the stuff, I already had some of those notes down, and I went ahead and made these pages already without consulting my old notes here. Uh, okay, so that John comes in, forest strewn with garbage, crash train. Who am I? Why am I here? What is Enchanted Lands again? What happened to it? Um, Start by going to the Knights Academy and then Princess Prep. Here's a map, but only half of it works at a time. I'll figure out college and Wizard do. I don't know. The map had to do with Hubert's had half of his magic stolen, and it literally manifests itself as halfway. You conjure up something, you only conjuring up half of it. You try to teleport something, and it only goes halfway. And uh, it's up in the air what half gets to what. So, the interest of Knights Academy, two armored guards apparently arguing. If John tries to walk through, the guards will lower their weapons and not allow him to pass. If John talks to one, he talks to both. There's a closed sign nailed to the gate. Uh, this is interesting. I have this whole like exchange here, and this is back when I was going to do a full like a full puzzle, which it will actually be in there as a full puzzle. So okay, so here's a spoiler, I guess. Uh, so he gets to the entry, and there's a closed sign on the gate, and uh, these guards won't allow him to pass. They lower their weapons, their whatever halberds or whatever, and he can't get in. Okay, so this is how the conversation goes. Okay, how do I get in? And then one of them says, you don't. And the other says, if you're not already in here, you don't belong here. There. If you're not already in there, you don't belong there. Okay. Uh, and then he asks, why can't I go in? And then one of them says, can't you read the sign? And then the other one says, that's what it's there for. So, fellas, why is it closed? That's obvious, isn't it? Because someone closed it? Yeah. Smart aleck answers, right? Um, is there a way in there? And then the first guard says, through us. And then the second guard says, but we won't let you through. Okay. Then he asks again, what would it take for you to let me in? And then the first one says, a lot. And the second one says, actually, we let no one through. At this time, there are NPCs walking in and out. Okay. And then he asks, how can we let them through? Then the first guard says, who? And then the second guard says, you must be mistaken. I saw no one. Then John gets red in the face with anger. How can you not see these people? Then the first guard says, these helmets don't help our vision much. And then the second one says, why don't you ask them? John is now hopping mad. I can't because you won't let me in. Recomposing himself, he asks, how can I ask them if I can't get in the first place? Then the first one answers, why are you asking riddles? Might as well ask, why is a raven like a writing desk? Then the second one answers, maybe they can give you some ideas, gesturing to the NPCs going in and out. Then he asks again, well, can you at least tell me who closed the school and why they did it? And then the first one says, we could. And the second one says, but we don't want you. Okay, so, and then here's the explanation now. That was just the conversation that you have with them, which I guess I'll probably end up putting it in here in this version as a conversation. If you just observe the guards before and after the conversation, they start talking about how they like chocolate and the precarious nature of their armor. Occasionally, the armor shudders a bit, as if it's hanging on loosely. Remembering you still have the chocolate bar, and you do. That's right. You have a chocolate bar because John's habit is he goes every day after work. He goes home and he buys his favorite candy bar, the Benny Wonky bar, and Hubert had magically put a silver ticket in one of them, and he managed to get that, and that's how he gets into Enchanted Lands. And there's a rigmarole on how he actually gets him the ticket, but that's what happens. Okay, so so remembering you still have the chocolate bar. If you offer one of the guards a piece, the visor lifts, a beak pops out quickly and snatches it. Then the eyes appear in the visor and look back and forth, and then as the guard starts munching on the chocolate, his armor starts to shake. And it starts looking like the armor is propped up on something. As you offer pieces of chocolate to the guards, they eventually shake the armor off to reveal two perches with parrots on them. John is then easily able to walk through, right? So the only thing that was holding him back was the fact that they had the armor on around the perch, kind of propped up there. But once the armor is off, they're just two birds on a perch, and they couldn't do anything. Okay. And I actually have an alternate method to walk in, but that's later on, I think. Let's see, I have the Knights Academy set up as a bunch of tents, with the biggest one having an enrollment sign on it. Another guard is open at the opening to the tent, who appears to be a real person and won't let him in without a badge. Okay, that's right. This isn't two ways to get into the school. This is the way to get into the one main tent. And I don't know. I might could do a thing about the actual entrance. Maybe there's two ways to get into the entrance, and maybe one of them is actually having a badge. I'm not sure if that's the way I wanted it set up. Anyways, the biggest one, the enrollment tent, won't let him in because he doesn't have a badge. With no badges to be had, he must find a souvenir stand and build a mock badge that matches one that everyone else is wearing. Then he can go into any tent he wants to. So your first puzzle, and that's an actual puzzle in the eventual full adventure game, is the getting past the guards with the chocolate. Admittedly, it's only one it's only one way to get into the school in the first place, but that's still a puzzle though. There happens to be a knight called Sir Drinks-a-Lot who's perpetually drunk. If you direct him to the back of the academy, you can get his armor. You may lure him with ale from the concession stands. If you have no money, you have to tell them to put it on the knight's tab. Here are some of the statements the guards make. Now, at this point, the guards are still the parrots on the perches, and I don't know if I had intended this to be, like I said, an alternate way to get into the school. I think it might have been an alternate way to get in the school. I'm not really sure, but here's some statements that the parrots make. You look fat. No, you look fat. You eat too much chocolate. No more than you do. Well, you still look fat. It's the armor. It makes me look fat. No, it doesn't. It's not very high quality, is it? Indeed. Why, just yesterday I nearly shook it all off while I was eating. Yeah. So some of the steals are actual statements that they make while they're dressed as the guards. In other words, before you know that they're actually parrots that like to eat chocolate. I don't know if you can feed chocolate to parrots. I know you can't feed it to dogs, so maybe you can't feed chocolate to birds either. But this is a fantasy, so they happen to like chocolate, I guess. Maybe I have to think about that. Maybe some kid is gonna feed their parrot chocolate and then kill it or something, and maybe I need to be careful of that. But anyways, indeed, why just yesterday I nearly shook it all off while I was eating. So some of this is going to be dialogue that's being said while John's standing around at the front entrance, so that he can get some clues as to what he needs to do. Well, you need to be more careful. No, you need to be more careful. Well, you need to lose some weight. I told you it's the armor. Well, you can't expect to buy quality armor on our salary. You don't get paid well to stand around either. I don't just stand around. I guard. Guard what? Your perch? Squawk. You keep quiet about that. As long as you keep quiet. No, you keep quiet. No, you keep quiet. If the armor didn't rattle, I would be quiet. You've never been quiet in your life. Quieter than you. Why, just yesterday you made so much noise eating a chocolate bar. Not any more than you. You nearly shook your armor off. You nearly shook your armor off. Oh, just be quiet. You first. Fine, fine. If John chooses the badge solution... Okay, so I guess this is the alternate method to enter the academy. If John chooses the badge to enter the Knights Academy, the player will have to notice some nondescript knight wearing a badge coming and going as he pleases. If this player speaks to the nondescript knight, he will learn about the badge. Hello, who are you? A knight, as you can plainly see. How are you able to go in and out? With this badge, of course. Don't you know you can't get in without a badge? Can I have yours? No. Where can I get a badge like that? You can't. The school isn't accepting any more applicants. I just want to go in and see what it's like. Is there any way in? At this point, okay, so at this point, for some reason, I didn't continue. I don't know why I didn't continue. I'd started filling out some stuff, and apparently I had stopped for whatever reason. Maybe it was just time to eat or something, and I forgot and never went back to it or something. Okay, so then I have some... Okay. So we can have this dialogue. So there's a couple of things. These statements are hinting at what you can do to actually get in via the guards, and the random knight, or maybe several random knights coming and going, will kind of hint to you that you need a badge to enter. I guess this one just tells you. Maybe they'll just tell you, I guess, because that's the way I wrote it. But if you're wondering why I keep on looking to the side, it's because I have my secondary monitor, and that's where the chat is. Because right now I'm just using the Restream chat, and so I have to look every so often just to see if anybody has said anything in the chat. So, anywho, let's see if John chooses a badge. Okay, so some Knights Academy notes: Sword and Stone, jousting yards with ostriches. You know, a hint towards little reference to Joust, the old Atari game where you're riding on ostriches. Concessions with ale and ye olde turkey legs. And the turkey legs is going to be kind of a joke because, Okay, if you've ever been to a Disney park, now I haven't been in many years now, just because of all the crap that they've been doing, all the woke crap. But they sell turkey legs. They sell I guess roasted turkey legs. I don't know how they cook them, but um, and when we had them, they sort of taste like ham, kind of, because they're like it's almost like they're smoked, but they're not smoked actually. But as we continue eating them, it just became like just nasty. It just started eating it. It was like, oh man, I can't eat any more of this. You know. Eventually, we had to stop, and apparently, people really like the turkey legs, and I don't like the turkey legs at all. We just didn't like them at all. But so they're gonna be selling turkey legs there as a joke. In fact, I might even have an NPC and make a joke about how he hates these turkey legs. Uh, Souvenir stands with helmets and names engraved, as well as buttons, pins, ribbons, pennants. Letterman armor. 8 letters on the back of armor, like sweaters. It's like a Letterman jacket, right? You know, usually has I think a Letterman jacket actually has a letter on the back of it. I think is the way that works. In fact, let's see something here. Let's look that up. I'll call it Letterman jacket just to see if I'm Letterman jacket. Uh, Term comes from practice of awarding each participant a cloth letter, which is usually the school's initials for placement on a letter sweater or letter jacket intended for display of such an award. Some instances, sweater or jacket itself may be awarded, especially for the initial award given to an individual. Today, in order to distinguish lettermen from other team participants, schools often establish a minimum level of participation. So it actually has to do with sports, right? What? Oh, letterman jacket. Okay. So, you know what a letterman jacket? It usually has a letter. I guess I don't know. Um, but basically, it represents a school. You know. Anyways, you've seen those before, and so I thought it would be funny to see you'll see some knights with a like a letter, like night school, like KS or something on the back of their armor, as if it were a Letterman jacket, but it'll be like armor. See what else we got here. Then you have the cliques, right? Cliques. Um, the different groups of that you find in like high school. You know, like geeks and nerds and jocks and whatever. I don't even know what the current names of any of the. I haven't been in high school since 1994. That's when I graduated. So it's been years. I don't even know what kind of cliques and stuff they have nowadays. If they have cliques anymore, I don't even know. I don't have kids of my own. I've been pretty much kind of separated from the public at large. Everything I get either through the TV or through like YouTube or something. And there's only a small subset of that there. Otherwise, I'm not really in contact with people, so I'm kind of out of touch. But we have geek nights, we have jock nights, we have goth nights. Um, we even have well, I okay, I'll show you here. Dragon on a stick. Uh, I'm not sure about dragon on a stick. If that was meant to be a food, like like hot dog on a stick, or if it was meant to be a like a toy, like a dragon toy of some sort. I'm not sure what I meant with that dragon on a stick. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure. It's got to be food though related, right? Dragon on a stick, food. Princess Rescue Training Tower. Uh, but the Princess Rescue Training Tower would probably be in Princess. No, it would be in night school because they would be learning to rescue princesses, right? Hot babe nights. Although in the game there aren't typically women nights. Some of these are just meant as in jokes about cliques in school, right? Like cheerleader nights or something, something like that. Geek Brits wants a date question. Night fraternities. We'll decide. I'll decide I was just coming up with ideas that you have in the school that fits into this story goal to get people to join your cause and get info. You won't be let in unless you want to be a knight. Then you must find your way out. Okay, so to build a badge, you need to swipe items from the souvenir stand because of no money. To do this, you need to convince the stand owner to take a break. And the whole impetus for this particular puzzle was from Secret of Monkey Island, where in order, I think it was in order to, well, it's in order to follow him to the Sword Master. In order to follow him there, you had to tell him to leave the store and go get something. I forget what it is, and I don't know how long it took me before I found out that I could follow him. I think one time I just he like goes out every time, and at one point I just decide to leave, and then you see him walk off the screen, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to follow him. And it just took me forever to get that, but I was just thinking, so instead of doing something where he leaves to so you can follow him, he this guy leaves so that you can swipe a particular uh, item, right? Souvenirs, hats, helmets, buttons, pins, T-shirts, torches, maps, snow globes, sword and stone, question mark, dragon, knight, castle sculptures, crystal mugs, shot glasses, stickers, toy stores, dragons, and portrait dryers. All the stuff that you find in like a amusement park or theme park. A badge consists of a Knights Academy badge, a mini coat of arms with a name. You can make one by getting a Knights Academy shield, maybe Night School in this case, but a Knights Academy shield shaped button, some stickers for the coat of arms, and you can write your name or possibly get it engraved. I didn't decide which to do at that point. Okay, so that's okay. That's what we got there. That's what I'm looking at, and this is what I gotta I'm coming up with. Now, I got about 15 minutes left, and then I have to end. Or I approximately got working about 10 minutes. So granted, I didn't get anything done today, like physically done, but um, at least any progress is good progress. I made a little bit of progress. I'm still making progress. That's good. Okay, so okay, so I'm gonna do this. All right. Okay, this um there are multiple knights walking in and out, uh, wearing badges. Uh, there are two guards at the front gate with a closed sign on it. The guards appear to be arguing. Okay. Okay, well, let me look at this for a second. John Edson approaches the knights at the front end. There are multiple knights walking in and out wearing badges. There are two guards at the front gate with a sign. The guards appear to be arguing. Okay. Let me think for a second. Okay. as you approach gate. When a knight sort of, say, what do you call it when they're walking kind of drunkily? Let's see something else. Oh, come on. Here, drunk and walking around. How do you describe the drunk's walk? Let's get an idea here. Tipsy patron, yeah. Stagger, stumbling. Okay, good. Say wildly irregular steps, exaggerated movements, disoriented path, exaggerated movements, quirky details. Stagger, stumble, lurch, sway, totter. Yeah, it wants to add scenes or whatever. It wants to do that. That's okay. Stumbles about apparently having had too much to drink. Okay. Now, this is not going to be a puzzle here. This is just going to be a it's just going to be part of the choices, right? So you're going to be presented with two choices, either. Okay, we'll set it like this. Hit one. You wish to approach the guards to find a way in. Hit two. You wish to find some other way in. Maybe with the help of the drunken knight. Okay, that's good. That's very good. This is entrance. Okay. So 1 is 1 and 2 is 2. All right. So let's go ahead and actually let's do something here. Ooh. And we're gonna move this up just a tad and over just a tad. Okay, that'll work. That'll do. Okay, we're gonna add one more. Okay, and we are going to go ahead to night school 1. Copy that. Copy. All right. Paste. Okay. Night school 1. We're gonna call this night school 2, like that. And we're gonna say 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2. And the 1 and the 2. We're going to go to this. We're going to copy this. Over here. Go to the door. I'm going to paste. So, then we are going to go ahead and... Now they're both going to night school. Night school 2 is going to night school. Night school 1 is going to night school. Entrance 1, entrance 2. Okay, now here... What we're going to do is we're going to go to the doors and we're going to actually copy this. And we're going to say 2. And that'd be choice 2. So, save it. Save. We did it. Awesome. Pull this up here. Yeah, there's a little wonkiness because it puts these squares in the wrong place. But that doesn't hurt my thing any. All I have to do is actually let's copy where night school entrance 1. Go ahead and copy this. Copy. Paste. Okay. Data. Reload save scene. Boom. That fixed. Okay. And so now we got... The reason most of them are red is because if you only have one door, then they're red. If you have more than 2 doors, then they change color. So most of these are red, unless they have multiple deals. Like this has red, yellow, and green. And I don't have anything other than those colors. Okay, so in here, I should have night school entrance 1 and night school entrance 2, which I do. That's cool. And that's cool. Now this is a case where I don't need to do a duplicate because they're both ways to get into the night school. Okay. 3:27. See, it's about time for me to go now. And it's all my fault because I spent all my time talking, but now I have to say goodbye. Now I have to say goodbye to all my company. Okay, for that. No, I just okay. All right. So I'm gonna do my little recording, which is my little end cap of progress I made today, which is not much, but that's okay. It's worth it. It's worth it when somebody new comes in, and even if you're not still here, it's worth it to go back through and explain where I'm at, what I'm doing. So it's cool. I don't mind that. Okay, so I'm gonna do my recording, and then I will end the stream here in just a couple minutes. Okay, today is Friday, July 18th, 2025, and today what I got done is I mostly just added a couple of rooms here, a couple of pages that will serve as entrance to the night school. I realized I didn't have the page of Hubert sending John to night school, but now I kind of do, and this is before approaching the gate, and there's 2 ways in, and you can approach the guards or you can find some other way in. And that's pretty much what I got done today, and I'll see you later. That was good. That was short and sweet. I don't have to do that much editing on that. Um, and I want to say thank you to everybody for jumping in, listening, whatever. Even if it was just for a little bit. Thanks, Helping Hand, for 23 for coming in here for your first time. And I hope to see you other times. I won't be streaming until Monday. I won't be back until Monday, where I'll do another stream, at least for the time being, anyways. And yeah, so I guess I'll see you Monday. Take it easy, everyone. Thank you for watching.